My name is Arden Rowe, I'm 30, and Dallas heat sounds different when your life is cracking. It was late June 2020, the kind of evening where the air is syrup and the cicadas buzz like a loose wire. I was barefoot on the cool tile, scrolling through our bank app, hunting for a tiny $9.99 subscription I swore I'd canceled. A number punched me in the chest, 14 times 800 AC transfer. Memo, tuition, FWCA. I blinked. Again, we don't have kids. I felt the room tilt. The open concept kitchen suddenly too open, too concept. My husband, Michael, was on a video call in the study, voice smooth as the bourbon he liked. Yeah, let's circle back Monday. I stared at the screen until the numbers blurred, until my reflection in the glass became someone I didn't recognize. I dug deeper because that's what you do when the floor drops. Transfers trickled through the ledger like breadcrumbs you don't want to follow. $2,450 to Little Sprouts Pediatrics. $319 to Dino Steps. Tiny shoes, I guessed. $4,000 to Amber Ridge Townhomes HOA. Townhomes, HOA, Pediatrics, tuition. I heard my mother's voice in my head, dry and unsentimental. If you think you've hit the bottom, check again, baby. There's a sub-basement, so I checked again. Michael stepped into the kitchen, all white shirt and polite smile. Hey Artie, you good for Thai tonight? I could taste the curry already, that habit of saying yes to small things to avoid the big ones. Sure, I said, voice sounding like it belonged to someone better behaved. He kissed the air near my cheek and grabbed his keys. I'll go pick up. He never picks up. He's a delivery guy, a tip in the app guy, a don't talk to me about fees guy. The door clicked, the house exhaled. I opened his email on the family iMac because he's always logged in and always careless. Search, FWCA, Fort Worth Charter Academy, newsletter, photos, a fundraising gala invitation with 2 tickets attached, addressed to Michael Rowe and guest. Next search, Amber Ridge, a PDF of HOA rules, no charcoal grills, quiet hours after 9 p.m., pet waste fines. Attached, a statement with Unit 17 highlighted. Unit 17. I said it out loud because saying it makes it real, and I needed real like a tourniquet. Then Venmo, emojis like secret code, with notes like half and this month. One username kept popping. It's Sutton Gray. I clicked. Profile photo, a woman with a smile like shade on a hot day, hair in a loose bun, a baby carrier strap across her shoulder. Public payments. Public heartbreak. Behind my ribs, something started to glow. Not tears. Those would come later in ugly tidal waves. This was a colder light. A pilot flame. A question that felt like a blade. How long? I needed a date. I needed a timeline so the world would stop wobbling. In text, a thread I'd never seen, archived, named PTA, my finger hovered, open. Sutton. Thank you for the extra this month. Enrollment fees were wild, Michael. Anything for them. I'll swing by Thurs. Kiss their foreheads for me. Sutton. They'll be asleep. I'll be up. Them, plural. The house shifted again, like a plane hitting sudden air. My knees wanted the floor. I let them have it. Tiles against skin. I pressed my forehead to the cabinet and breathed in the smell of lemon cleaner and toasted bread and the ghost of a marriage that apparently had an entire second life just 28 miles away. We had planned to try for kids someday, after my promotion, after the world calmed down, after the pandemic dust settled. I'd swallowed that timeline like vitamins. I had practiced patience like it could win me a prize. Now someday was staring at me through receipts for tiny dinosaur shoes. The door opened again, keys, paper bag, the restaurant's cilantro lime smell. I stood up too fast, black sparkles at the edge of my vision. Hey you, he said, casual, a man who brings pad thai and a lie. Extra lime for you. For a moment, I considered normal. I considered eating noodle ribbons and pretending ignorance, because ignorance is a velvet blanket if you let it be. Instead, I said, what's Unit 17? He froze one heartbeat too long. Sorry? Amber Ridge Townhomes, Unit 17. I kept my voice steady like a tightrope. He blinked, then smiled. Practiced, light. Work client. We're handling a pediatric account? I asked, sweet as Splenda. A tuition scholarship? Dino Steps. The paper bag crinkled under his hand. He set the food down carefully, like I might explode if he startled me. Arden, he said, voice lowered into the serious register he saves for board meetings and funerals. Let's not. How long? Silence grew legs. 2 years, he said, eyes on the granite, as if the swirls might rearrange into mercy. The house got very quiet. The cicadas outside fell away. My heartbeat was a drum in an empty stadium. 2 years, I repeated. So when I had pneumonia last Christmas and you said you were working late, I was. And when we fought about IVF and you said you needed time, Arden. And when we set up the joint savings to plan our future. His jaw flexed. I did it for them, he said, and the pronoun was a gunshot. Something in me split so cleanly I almost heard the crack. Grief rose, hot and metallic, but I kept it behind my teeth because I didn't want him to have it. You drained our savings, I said. Our life. They're my kids, he said, chest heaving with a righteousness that made me dizzy. They didn't ask for this. That money is just ours, I finished. It's ours. He made a move for me, hands out, palms open, the performance of a good man in a bad moment. I stepped back like his touch could stain. I'll fix it, he said. I'll move things around. We'll refinance. You don't have to worry. But I was already seeing through him, past him, above him, like I'd climbed a ladder out of our life and could finally look down at its shape. He was the same size from up there. So was I. I went to the sink and ran the water and stared at my hands. They looked like my mother's. Knuckles that keep going. I turned the faucet off and the silence returned. Different now. Heavier. I'm going to bed, I said. It was 8:30. I didn't sleep. I scrolled. I collected screenshots like evidence in an invisible trial. Emails, transfers, emojis, HOA notes. I built a timeline in my notes app because truth needs a spine. At 2:14 a.m., a push notification lit the dark. Outgoing wire, $120,000. Memo, down payment. My chest tightened as if I were underwater. I clicked through, following the path like a lit runway. Recipient, Amber Ridge Title Co. Property, Unit 17. My breath steadied. Cold light flooded my bones. If he could build a secret life, I could build a plan. A legal one, a quiet one. One with receipts. At dawn, I drove. Dallas freeways were ghostly in pandemic silence, the sky an open bruise. Fort Worth sprawled like a dare until the Amber Ridge sign appeared, bland and beige. I parked under a mesquite tree and watched Unit 17. At 7:46 a.m., a woman stepped out with a diaper bag and a toddler whose shoes were, yes, covered in tiny green dinosaurs. Michael came out a minute later, sun catching the edge of his jaw, like it wanted to carve a new face out of the old one. He knelt, kissed the boy's head. He looked happy, the kind of happy that doesn't know it's being watched. The boy saw me. Kids always see what adults pretend isn't there. He pointed, curious. The woman, Sutton, I knew now, followed his finger. Her gaze reached me. We were 2 women across a small strip of grass and a canyon. Then my phone vibrated, a number I didn't recognize. Fort Worth area code. I answered. Because rock bottom is also the moment you stop ducking. Arden? A woman's voice, soft, careful. This is she. A pause, a hitch. I think we need to talk. About Michael, and about the house deed he just put in our names. The diaper bag swung. Michael laughed at something the toddler said, that low rumble I used to love. I stared at Sutton and said into the phone, I'm listening. The call lasted 3 minutes. 3 minutes that rewired my entire marriage into something I could only call evidence. The woman's name was Sutton Gray, just as the Venmo had whispered. Her voice was calm, like someone who had lived too long with secrets and was too tired to lie anymore. He put the deed in both our names, she said. Said it was security, for me, for the kids. I pressed the phone tighter against my ear, sitting in my car beneath the mesquite tree, eyes locked on the tan stucco of Unit 17. And you're just telling me this? I asked, voice trembling between rage and disbelief. Because I didn't know about you. Her words cut clean. He told me he was separated. He said the savings were his to spend. Arden, I thought you were gone. Gone. That word rattled me like pennies in a tin can. I was here, alive, working 60-hour weeks, paying bills, ironing his shirts, sleeping beside him every night. And in her story, I was already dead. You've been with him for 2 years, I said. Yes, Sutton whispered. But I see it now. I see how much he's lied. To both of us. My hands shook so badly I had to press them against the steering wheel. How many kids? I asked. 2, she said. 4 and 1. That landed like bricks. He hadn't just been unfaithful. He'd been building a family, a parallel life while I was left swallowing the someday that never came. I don't know what you want from me, I said, voice tight. I want to stop being lied to, Sutton said. And I want my kids to be safe. But you should know, the down payment, it came from your joint account. That's why I called. The line went quiet. We hung there, 2 women holding the same grenade. That night, I didn't confront Michael. Instead, I played my part. Reheated pad thai, small talk about work, folding laundry while he watched ESPN. But inside, I was mapping. In the bathroom mirror, I studied my reflection. Brown hair pulled back, eyes too wide, mouth set like stone. I whispered, "You're not gone." Because if he could write me out of his story, I would write him out of mine. The next morning, I started my ledger. Page 1, bank accounts. Page 2, property records. Page 3, investments, retirement, his 401k. I logged into everything we shared. I downloaded statements, highlighted transfers, created a paper trail even a lawyer couldn't ignore. Every receipt became a bone in the skeleton of betrayal. At lunch, I called the bank. Yes, I'd like copies of all wire transfers from the past 18 months. Clicking keys, polite voice. Of course, Mrs. Rowe. Mrs. Rowe, the title stung, but I used it like armor. When Michael came home that evening, he kissed the top of my head as if nothing was wrong. I smiled back like nothing was wrong. And in that smile, I discovered a new skill. Performance. By week's end, I had a binder. Tabs labeled joint savings, property, extracurricular. I even found the pediatrician's invoice. He'd listed Sutton as spouse on the emergency contact form. The rage burned clean, sharp, but under it, something else grew. Clarity. I wasn't going to scream or beg. I wasn't going to throw dishes or write tear-stained letters. I was going to use the law, his favorite thing, his blind spot. One Friday night, Michael poured himself bourbon and asked, "You okay, Artie? You've been quiet." I watched the amber swirl in his glass, the same color as the lies he'd been drinking. "I'm fine," I said. "Just tired." He nodded, satisfied. He never looked too hard if the surface was smooth. That night, I moved half our files onto a flash drive, tucked it into my bra, and drove to my sister's house across town. "Everything okay?" she asked. "Not yet," I said. "But it will be." I didn't tell her details. Not yet. But I spent the weekend at her dining table, laptop open, papers spread like tarot cards. Patterns emerged. Patterns that told me Michael wasn't just reckless. He was sloppy. One account was still in my name, forgotten by him. An old CD with $25,000. Untouched. That was the seed. The seed of my escape plan. Sunday night, I went home. Michael was in the backyard grilling steaks, pretending to be the picture of suburban husband. "Where have you been?" he asked. "With my sister," I said. He nodded, flipped the meat, didn't question further. And in that moment, I realized he wasn't watching me anymore, because he thought he'd already won. But he hadn't, not even close. Because my ledger wasn't just numbers now, it was a weapon, and I was ready to use it. Then came the twist. A knock on my door at 10:17 p.m. Michael was asleep on the couch, snoring softly. I opened it to find Sutton, face pale, eyes wide, toddler asleep on her shoulder. "We need to talk," she whispered. "He's not just lying about the money, he's lying about something bigger." Her voice cracked, and for the first time, I saw fear in her eyes. Sutton stood in my doorway like a warning label, pale, determined, a toddler breathing softly on her shoulder. I let her in. We moved to the kitchen, the only light a cone above the island. The rest of the house dim and asleep. "Bigger how?" I asked. She eased the child into a dining chair, draped her cardigan as a blanket, and lowered her voice. "He used your name," she said. "On a loan." The floor hummed under my feet. "What loan?" She pulled a manila envelope from the diaper bag. "Home equity line, HELOC, on your Dallas house. I found the documents in his briefcase while looking for diapers. Your signature is on it." My mouth went dry. I didn't sign a HELOC. Sutton slid the packet toward me. Tabs, sticky notes, a notary stamp winking like a dare. I recognized my name. I did not recognize the signature. It sloped the way mine did. It looped the R like mine tried to, but it wasn't mine. And the date, December 22nd, 2019, was the weekend I'd been hooked up to IV antibiotics at Baylor. I'd posted a picture with a dumb thumbs up and the caption, "No COVID, just pneumonia. Calm down." I wasn't at a notary, I whispered. I was in a hospital gown. Sutton pressed her lips together. "There's more." She took out 2 little cards. One gleamed metal, one black plastic. Safety deposit box keys, and a debit card for an account I've never seen. He keeps them hidden in the bourbon decanter. Behind us, Michael snored. I stared at the decanter on the sideboard, the amber liquid catching the light like honey. He hid it where I would never look, inside his ritual. I opened the decanter. The crystal stopper clinked like a bell. There, taped under the base, was another key. I laughed, sharp and humorless. Of course. We didn't touch the toddler. We didn't wake Michael. We laid out the papers like a crime scene and breathed as quietly as the house would let us. The HELOC funded the down payment on Amber Ridge, Sutton said. He told me it was bonus money. Of course he did, I said. The rage was back, but colder now, cleaner. It sharpened me. What do you want, she asked. From me, from this. Truth, I said. Receipts, and a witness if I need one in court. Sutton nodded. I'll be that, she said. But I need something too. What? An exit, she said. For me and the kids. He's been controlling, not violent. But he takes my phone sometimes, checks my car's mileage. I didn't see it at first. Now I do. I looked at the toddler's dinosaur shoes, scuffed at the toes. We'll get you an exit, I said, and I'll get mine. We exchanged numbers. We agreed on rules. No sudden moves, no confrontations. Everything through paper. When Sutton left, the house seemed to inhale again, like it had been holding its breath for years. I didn't sleep. I watched the island of light shrink with the night, and I counted the ways he'd underestimated me. Morning came bleary and Texas bright. Michael stretched and yawned and kissed my forehead like a man who thinks he is loved without question. You working from home? He asked. Half day, I said. Errands. He grunted, poured coffee, and asked about the Cowboys' schedule like we were a normal married couple with normal Sunday worries. We were a crime scene in polite clothing. When he left for a run, I moved fast. Flash drive, binder, keys. I slid the decanter key into my wallet. By 9, I was in a strip mall with a sign that read Delilah Cho, attorney at law. Her office smelled like lemon wipes and stainless steel ambition. She took me in without an appointment because I said the words that opened doors. Forgery, community property, HELOC. Delilah was mid-30s, hair in a neat twist, eyes that skipped small talk. Walk me through it, she said, already pulling a legal pad. I did. The bank transfers, the HOA, the pediatrician, the Venmo emojis that felt like confessions, and now the forged HELOC with my hospital selfie as the alibi I never knew I'd need. She didn't flinch. Here's what we do, she said. First, we secure your credit and pull a tri-merge report, freeze everything. Second, we file a temporary restraining order to prevent further dissipation of community assets. No selling, no borrowing, no transferring without notice. Third, we notify the lender about the forgery and demand the notary's journal and a copy of the notary's ID used. Fourth, we open a separate account in your name only and start diverting your paycheck. Finally, we hire a forensic accountant. Her pen kept time with my heartbeat. And criminal, I asked. Bigamy? Fraud? In Texas, bigamy is criminal, she said. But whether he actually married her is a separate question. We'll check the public records. The forgery is the cleaner path. It's documentable. It's fast. She slid a packet across the desk. Sign the engagement agreement. I'll file the TRO today. It felt like inhaling after weeks underwater. Do it, I said. Delilah nodded once, brisk. And Arden, she added softer. Do not let him know what you know. Not yet. Paper first, court first, rage later. Rage later, I could live with that. I left her office with a folder and a spine. Step 2 is the bank. I froze my credit in the parking lot. Fingers steady now. Experian, Equifax, TransUnion. 3 taps that felt like locking windows in a storm. Then the notary. We called the number on the stamp. Yvonne's mobile notary. Do you remember notarizing a HELOC for Michael and Arden Rowe on December 22nd? Delilah asked on speaker. A pause. Oh, I don't keep records past a year without a subpoena, Yvonne said. But my journal would say, if it was me. It was you, Delilah said, smooth. We'll be sending a formal request. We hung up. Delilah's eyebrows lifted a millimeter. She's nervous. Good. I drove next to the bank branch listed on the HELOC. A manager in a navy blazer guided me to a glass office and offered bottled water like that might wash away a forged signature. I'm disputing a HELOC, I said, signed without my consent. I was hospitalized on the date notarized. He blinked. I'm so sorry to hear that, he said, which is bank speak for our lawyer just stood up. We'll need your affidavit and the notary's journal. We'll escalate. Escalate fast, I said. My attorney is filing a TRO today. It felt good to say my attorney. On my way out, I spotted the safe deposit hallway. I touched the key in my wallet. Not yet, I told myself. But soon. At noon, I met Sutton at a park half a mile from Amber Ridge. Playground heat rose in waves. Her toddler chased bubbles, giddy, innocent. He's at work until 5, she said. I checked his calendar. Good, I said. I met with an attorney. We'll file today, and we'll get the notary's journal. Sutton swallowed. There's one more thing, she said. I braced. He has a second phone, she said. He keeps it at the townhome. I found it in the vent. It's full of messages with someone named JM. They talk about moving money, shell companies. Words like float and bridge. I don't understand it. I did. I'd worked enough budget meetings to smell embezzlement. Can you get the phone? I asked. She nodded. If I can get in without him. Don't unless it's safe, I said. But if you do, bag it. Don't text from it. Don't charge it. Airplane mode and a Ziploc. She stared at me. You've done this before? No, I said. But I know how men like Michael think. They mistake our silence for ignorance. We traded more rules. We set up a shared note with code names. Unit 17 became U17. HELOC became Blue. Attorney became Anchor. I was halfway back to my car when my phone buzzed. Delilah. 2 updates, she said. 1, the county clerk search shows no second marriage for Michael in Tarrant or Dallas County. So no bigamy. Yet. 2, your house title shows a pending assignment to a trust filed yesterday. If that records, it could complicate the TRO. The sky seemed to tilt. He's moving the house into a trust. Yes, she said. A revocable trust named Graybird Holdings. Gray Bird Sutton. He's trying to bury assets, Delilah said. We need to get to the clerk's office now and record our TRO before his assignment records. If his hits first, we'll have to unwind it. Messy, expensive. I'm 20 minutes away, I said. I'll meet you there, she said. Bring ID, bring your binder. I turned the key in the ignition. The engine roared. I pulled out, heart steady, hands sure. Then the garage door at my house, miles away, sent a notification. Opened. Michael. Another ping. Transaction alert. Attempted transfer, $18,000, from joint checking to Graybird Holdings, LLC, declined. Delilah's freeze was already working. My screen lit again. Unknown number. Where are you, Arden? We need to talk about the house. A second later, a photo arrived. A close-up of my forged signature. And a caption. Meet me at the bank by 2, or you won't like what happens next. I stared at the photo until the pixels stung. Then I looked up at the road sign pointing to County Clerk, next exit. I pressed the gas. The county clerk's office sat squat and beige against the noon sun, a bureaucratic bunker. I parked crooked, binder hugged to my chest like a shield, phone buzzing in my pocket with Michael's messages. Where are you? We need to talk now. Don't make this worse. I shut the phone face down. He was trying to bait me. I wasn't biting. Inside, the clerk's building smelled like paper dust and overworked air conditioning. A line of plexiglass windows stretched across the lobby, with masked clerks tapping keyboards like courtroom metronomes. Delilah was already there, sleek navy suit, tablet in hand. You're just in time, she said. The assignment to Graybird Holdings hasn't recorded yet. We're racing the clock. I handed her my binder, pages bristling with tabs. Good, she murmured. This will do. We filed the TRO, stamped, time-marked, an unimpeachable piece of paper, thin as a leaf, heavy as a guillotine. Now, Delilah said, whatever he tries to move, the court can claw back, at least until hearing day. Relief should have come. Instead, I felt my pulse climb higher, because my phone buzzed again, this time with a photo. Michael's face, framed by the bank lobby. Caption, Where's my wife? We stepped outside, sunlight harsh, parking lot shimmering. Don't respond, Delilah warned. He's rattled. That's good. Feels like a trap, I muttered. It is, she said. Stay paper, stay cold. But then Sutton called. Her voice was rushed, breathless. He's here, she whispered. Where? At U17. He showed up early. He's tearing the place apart, yelling about a phone. Arden, he's scaring the kids. I froze on the courthouse steps, binder cutting into my ribs. Delilah's eyes narrowed. What is it? I covered the speaker. He's at the townhome. He's looking for the second phone. Delilah cursed under her breath. We need that phone before he destroys it. It could prove fraud. Sutton's voice cracked through again. He keeps shouting about JM. Says everything depends on it. I locked myself in the bathroom with the kids. He's pounding the door. My chest seized. I pictured those dinosaur shoes on the cold tile floor. Call 911, I said. I can't. If I do, he'll know I told you. Do it anyway, I snapped. Say there's a domestic disturbance. Don't mention me. Just get out. The line went dead. Delilah grabbed my arm. We can't run over there. Not yet. He'll deny everything and drag you into it. We wait for Sutton's call. But waiting felt like drowning. I paced, binder clutched so tight the spine dug crescents into my palm. Michael's last message popped up. Come to the bank, Arden. You have 10 minutes. 10 minutes, or what? I heard my mother's voice again, dry and merciless. If a man gives you a countdown, he thinks you're already cornered. I turned to Delilah. If he destroys that phone, it's over. She shook her head. No, it's not. Forgery, HELOC, TRO, those stand. The phone just adds fire, but Arden, don't take his bait. Then my phone lit again, this time a new number, a video. I tapped. Grainy, shaky footage. Michael, red-faced, shouting. You think you're clever, Sutton. You think Arden won't find out what you did with JM? I built this for all of us, and you're ruining it. The toddler wailed in the background. The camera jolted, then cut. My stomach flipped. He wasn't just lying about family. He was hiding money too. Dirty money. Delilah's voice snapped me back. We send this to the police. Now. But before I could forward it, another ping. A message from Michael. Same video attached. Caption. Your move, Arden? The clock above the clerk's desk read 1:52. 8 minutes until his deadline. I looked at Delilah. She saw my face and said, Don't you dare. But rage had teeth, and mine were showing. If Michael wanted me at the bank, maybe it was time to look him in the eye. Not as his wife, not as his fool, but as his adversary. I'm going, I said. Delilah grabbed my sleeve. He'll play you. Then I'll let him think he did. I pulled free, binder under my arm. TRO papers burning like coals. And I headed for the bank, where Michael waited with his traps and his threats. The sun hit the glass doors of the bank like fire when I arrived at 2:01. Michael was already inside, pacing. When he saw me, he smiled. Not relief, not remorse. A smile of someone who thinks the game is his. I walked in, heart steady, and told myself, rage later, paper now. The air in the bank lobby was chilled, dry enough to sting. Michael stood near the teller line, suit jacket slung over his arm, smile sharp enough to cut glass. Arden, he said, loud enough for heads to turn. There you are. I walked toward him with my binder tucked close, the TRO stamped on top like a blade I hadn't unsheathed yet. Michael, my voice was steady, almost bored. He leaned in, lowering his tone. You shouldn't have done that. I tilted my head. Done what? His jaw tightened. Frozen the account, filing that order. You're making this uglier than it needs to be. I almost laughed. Ugly? The man had siphoned savings, forged signatures, and split himself into 2 households. And I was the one making it ugly? Let's talk somewhere private, he said, motioning toward a side conference room. I hesitated, then nodded. Better to let him think he still had the stage. Inside, the glass walls gave the illusion of privacy, while the whole lobby could see our silhouettes. Fitting, I thought. A liar on display. He sat, clasped his hands like a CEO closing a deal. I know you found out about Sutton, he said, and the kids, but Arden, this doesn't have to end everything. I stared at him. You forged my name on a loan, Michael. You turned our house into collateral for your secret life. His smile wavered, then snapped back. I did it for them. They deserve security. And I don't? You're fine, he said. You've always been fine. You'll land on your feet. I gripped the binder tighter. The audacity didn't even shock me anymore. It almost fascinated me. like watching a magician repeat a trick you already knew the mechanics of. Why call me here, I asked. Why send threats? His eyes darted toward the glass, then back. Because Sutton is panicking. She has something of mine, a phone. I need it back before she does something stupid. I felt my pulse in my throat. She already did something smart, I said. She called me. His face darkened. You don't understand, that phone. It's got messages, numbers, deals. If it gets out, everything falls apart. My business, the trust, the money. Everyone loses. Everyone but you, I corrected. His voice dropped to a growl. Help me fix this, Arden. Bring me the phone, and I'll make sure you get your share when this all settles. I blinked at him. My share of what? He leaned back, smug again. Graybird Holdings. JM has investors lined up. We're talking millions, Arden. All you have to do is walk away quiet. Play along, and you'll be rich. I stared at him across the conference table, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. For years I thought we shared one life. Turns out, he'd been auditioning me for the role of accessory. I leaned forward. Here's what you don't get, Michael. I don't want your money. I want your truth. And I already have enough of it on paper to bury you. His hand slammed the table. Careful. The sound drew a look from a teller. The glass wall did its job. He straightened, smoothed his tie, and forced a chuckle like nothing was wrong. He whispered, if you go through with this, you won't just bankrupt me. You'll ruin Sutton. You'll ruin the kids. My stomach twisted. His favorite weapon, guilt. I opened my binder, slid one sheet across, the TRO. Stamped, official, undeniable. His eyes flicked over it, color drained from his face. You've already lost, I said softly. This is just the beginning. For a moment, silence stretched. His hand trembled, barely perceptible. Then he leaned closer, voice like poison. You think the court will save you? Judges can be bought, banks can be stalled. But if that phone gets out, Arden, they'll think you were part of it too. Your name is on everything. My chest went cold. The threat wasn't just about Sutton. It was about me. He was right. My name was on the house, the accounts, even the forged HELOC. If he went down, he meant to drag me with him. I stood, binder in hand. We're done here. He stayed seated, smirking, but his fingers tapped the table, restless. You'll regret this, he murmured. Maybe, I said, but you'll regret me more. I turned and walked out, heels clicking, every step loud in the marble lobby. Behind me, I could feel his gaze, sharp as broken glass. Outside, the Texas sun blinded me for a moment. My phone buzzed. A message from Sutton. He left. He took some papers, but I have the phone. I don't know how long until he comes back. My breath caught. The phone was real, and it was in play. I typed back quickly, bag it, hide it, I'm on my way. Before I could hit send, another notification appeared. From an unknown number. A single photo. The front door of my Dallas house, wide open. Caption, nice binder. Shame if someone went through your files while you were gone. The photo of my front door wide open made my chest cave. My binder wasn't just paper anymore. It was survival. Every receipt, every transfer, every forged line of ink was in there. But I was holding the binder under my arm, which meant whoever was inside my Dallas house was after something else. I called my sister. Go check my place. Now, don't go in, just drive by. She answered on speaker, wind rushing. I'm 2 blocks away already. Arden, did you leave your garage open? No, I said. Silence then. It's open. Lights are on. Arden, your living room lamp's smashed. Someone's been inside. My knuckles whitened around the steering wheel. It wasn't Sutton. She had the phone. It wasn't Delilah. She was still at the clerk's office. That left Michael, or someone helping him. My sister's voice trembled. Should I call the cops? Not yet. Just keep driving. Don't stop. I couldn't risk Michael spinning the narrative first. If police showed before I had proof, he'd play the victim, and I'd look like the paranoid wife. But my house was no longer mine. I pulled into a gas station, heart racing. Delilah called. He's moving fast, she said. I just got word. The trust assignment failed. The TRO hit first. That's good news. Good news? I laughed bitterly. He's tearing my house apart. What? I told her. The photo, the smashed lamp. Her tone hardened. Then he's hunting, probably for documents he thinks you left behind. Arden, listen to me. Don't go back there tonight. He's rattled. That's dangerous. My throat tightened. So where do I go? Somewhere safe, with your sister if you trust her. We'll file for an exclusive occupancy order next. He won't be able to step foot inside once the court signs it. Before I could reply, my phone buzzed again. This time, a voicemail. No number. I played it on speaker. Michael's voice, low and ragged. You think you're clever with your TROs and your attorneys, but you forgot one thing, Arden. Graybird isn't just about Sutton. It isn't just about me. If you hand this over, if you go to court, you'll go down too. The message cut. Delilah exhaled. He's bluffing. He's trying to tie you to his fraud. But even if your name shows up, we've got evidence of forgery. You'll be fine. Fine, I repeated, though it felt hollow. Because the truth was, he might not need the bank or the court to destroy me. He could ruin me with lies alone. I drove to Sutton's townhouse. She opened the door quick, toddler at her hip. Phone clutched like contraband. I bagged it, she whispered, showing me the Ziploc. The second phone lay inside, black screen reflecting our strained faces. Good, I said. That's leverage. We sat at her kitchen table, the smell of formula and lavender dish soap grounding us in ordinary life. She unlocked the phone. No password. He thought he was clever hiding it, but hadn't protected it. Messages flooded the screen. Threads with JM money floated, bridge loan cleared. Move funds through ARHOA, safer that way. It was laundering, plain as daylight. My stomach dropped as another thread popped into focus. My name. Use Arden's credit. Cleaner. She'll never notice. Paper her later. I felt my insides go cold. He had woven me into his scheme like fabric. Sutton looked at me. What do we do with this? I swallowed hard. We give it to Delilah. She'll know how to handle evidence. But then my phone rang. Michael again. I let it buzz, then buzz again. Finally, I answered, pressing speaker. You're with her, aren't you? His voice was venom. With Sutton. Neither of us spoke. You think you've got me cornered? You don't even know JM. You don't know what's coming. Then tell me, I said. My voice sounded steadier than I felt. A pause, then a chuckle. You'll see soon enough. But here's a gift, Arden. Check your email. You'll understand why you can't run from this. He hung up. Sutton and I leaned over my phone, opening the email app. There it was. An attachment. A PDF. I tapped. A scan of a contract. Title: Joint Venture Agreement. Graybird Holdings. Signatories: Michael Rowe, Arden Rowe. My name, my fake signature. And under it, a familiar one I'd never seen in this context. JM. My pulse hammered. He hadn't just forged my name on a loan. He'd tied me, on paper, to Graybird Holdings, which meant if this collapsed, I wouldn't just be the betrayed wife. I'd look like his partner. Sutton gasped. He's dragging you down with him. I nodded slowly, eyes locked on the fake contract. Yes, I whispered. But he just gave me the rope he thinks he'll use to hang me. I looked up at Sutton. But ropes can be cut. The forged contract glared up at me from Sutton's kitchen table. My name, Michael's name, and a shadow, JM. It wasn't just betrayal anymore. It was a setup. Sutton shifted, rocking the toddler who whimpered in his sleep. What if he shows this to the police first, she whispered. Then I'll be the wife who funded a shell company and laundered money without knowing, I said. My mouth tasted like metal. And he'll get to walk out as the businessman who tried to save his family. I shoved the phone back into the Ziploc. No, he doesn't get to write the ending. The next morning, I met Delilah at her office. She scanned the PDF, lips pressed thin. This is worse than I thought, she said. He's laying a foundation for what lawyers call willful blindness, making it look like you were in on it. I pointed at the forged signature. I was in the hospital when this was supposedly signed. Then we prove it, she said. We subpoena your hospital records, time-stamped. If the jury sees that, it's over for him. Her eyes flicked to mine. But we need JM's identity. Without that, the court might think this is just a domestic dispute with messy finances. We need to show organized fraud. That night, I drove past my house. Police tape fluttered across the garage. My sister had finally called it in after seeing more broken glass. Through the window, I spotted overturned drawers, files scattered like confetti. He'd been searching for the binder, but it was with me. Safe. My phone buzzed. A message from Sutton. He hasn't been back tonight. But the kids keep asking why Daddy's angry. I typed back. Because Daddy's scared. The following day, Sutton slipped me a new package. The phone had a hidden folder, she said. I found it when I plugged it into my laptop. I opened the drive. documents, spreadsheets. The numbers told the story. Auto fees inflated by 20%. Transfers marked repairs that led to offshore accounts. Payments funneled through Amber Ridge like water through a sieve. And names. One kept repeating Jameson Muir, initials JM. A real estate developer, someone Michael had mentioned once at a dinner party, just a throwaway name. But here he was, threaded through Graybird Holdings. I called Delilah. Found JM, it's Jameson Muir. There was a pause then. That's serious. He's under federal watch already. The words hit like a hammer. Federal watch. This wasn't just about betrayal. It was crossing into indictments. Arden, listen to me, Delilah said. If the feds get wind, they'll freeze everything. And if your name is on those contracts, I'll go down too, I finished. Silence stretched. Unless, Delilah said slowly, we give them Michael and Muir before Michael gives them you. That night, Sutton and I met in a grocery store parking lot. Kids asleep in the back seat, grocery bags as cover. She handed me the phone, screen glowing with spreadsheets. Are we really going to the feds? She asked. Yes, I said, but on our terms, not Michael's. Her hands shook as she lit a cigarette. He'll kill me if he finds out. He won't, I said, because he'll be too busy watching himself fall. But then another message buzzed in. Michael again. You've got one chance, Arden. Bring me the phone tomorrow, noon, same bank. Or Graybird becomes your crime. My breath caught. Sutton read over my shoulder, face pale. What do we do? I exhaled. We bait him. Delilah agreed. We set up a controlled meet. We bring the phone, but not the real one. We give him a decoy, and meanwhile, we get his confession. How? I asked. Wire, she said simply. You wear it. You let him talk. Michael can't help explaining himself when he thinks he's winning. And Arden, make him brag. Men like him always brag. I nodded slowly. I could already picture his smirk. His need to justify every rotten thing. Yes, he'd brag. And this time, I'd be recording. The plan was set. Noon. Same bank. This time, I'd walk in not as his wife, not as his victim, but as bait. Delilah met me in her office that morning with a plain envelope. Inside, a slim recorder, barely bigger than a lighter. Clip it under your blouse, she said. Battery will last 2 hours. That's all the window we get. I slid it on, the plastic cool against my skin. My pulse thudded so hard I worried the microphone would pick it up. You hand him the decoy phone, Delilah continued. You keep him talking, push him to explain. And Arden, don't argue. Make him believe you're tempted. Tempted, I repeated. The word tasted bitter. Yes, tempted by the money, the security, the kids. Whatever bait he dangles, pretend to bite. The longer he talks, the stronger our case. At 11:57, I parked in front of the same bank where our last showdown had simmered. The sun scorched the asphalt, heat rising in wavering waves. I held a handbag with the fake phone inside, its weight unnatural. Michael was already there, leaning against his car, sunglasses perched, grinning like we were meeting for coffee. Arden, he called, spreading his arms. My better half. I walked up, stiff-backed, clutching the bag. We're not doing this out here. He chuckled. Fair enough. Inside, we sat in the same glass-walled conference room as before. It almost felt scripted. He nodded at the bag. You brought it. I slid the decoy phone across. His hand hovered, hungry. But he didn't touch it. Not yet. First he wanted to talk. I knew you'd come around, he said smoothly. You're smarter than Sutton. You know survival when you see it. I leaned back, forcing my voice into neutral. Then explain it to me. What exactly am I surviving? His grin sharpened. Everything's about leverage, Arden. Graybird is a machine. Muir supplies the investors. I supply the legitimacy. And you? He tapped the phone. You supply the clean paper. Married stability. Bank trust. That's why your name matters. I kept my face calm, though bile rose. So I was never a wife. Just a cover. He leaned closer, voice low and conspiratorial. Not just a cover. The perfect cover. The banks eat it up. 30-year marriage, joint accounts, no drama. You gave me credibility, Sutton never could. His words burned, but I forced a nod, like I understood, like I admired. And the kids? I asked. Collateral, he said without hesitation. Sutton thinks it's love, but really, they're props. A family man plays well on paper. My fingers curled under the table. The recorder hummed against my chest, capturing every vile syllable. Why threaten me then, I asked. If I'm so perfect for the role. Because you spooked, he snapped. You ran to a lawyer, you froze accounts. That makes you dangerous. Dangerous enough to destroy you? He smirked. Not destroy, but complicate. And Arden, you don't want to be complicated. Judges hate complicated. He finally picked up the fake phone, turning it over like treasure. This is all I needed. Now we can move forward. You stay quiet, you get your cut. Simple. I let a long pause hang. Then I whispered, and if I don't? He grinned wider, teeth bared. Then you go down with me. Contracts, transfers, HELOC, all of it. You're on the hook whether you like it or not. Even if my signature was forged, I asked softly. His laugh was sharp. Prove it, no jury will care. Paper is paper, that's the beauty of it. I stared at him, rage buzzing like static. But I forced one last question. And JM? What's his role? His grin dimmed just a fraction. JM is the reason we're untouchable. He's got politicians, lenders, the whole pipeline greased. You don't say his name again unless you want to disappear. I leaned forward, feigning awe. You really built all this. Damn right I did. He pocketed the fake phone, smug, certain. And now, he said, rising, we're stronger than ever. You'll thank me someday. I stood too, binder tight to my side. No, I said. Someday you'll thank me for not stopping this sooner. He blinked, confusion flickering just long enough for me to step out into the lobby, sunlight spilling through glass. Outside, Delilah was waiting in her car across the street. Eyes on me, I slid in, hands shaking. Got it? She asked. I nodded. He bragged about everything. She started the engine. Good, because the next step isn't family court anymore. Her eyes met mine in the mirror. It's federal. Delilah wasted no time. The recorder was still warm when she plugged it into her laptop. Michael's voice filled the room, smooth, arrogant, self-incriminating. Perfect cover, props, JM makes us untouchable. Each word landed like a nail sealing his coffin. Delilah sat back, exhaling slowly. This is enough to open doors. The feds will listen. I wrapped my arms around myself, still shivering though the office was warm. Will they believe me? She nodded. With this, they won't just believe you, they'll want you, as a witness. The following week was a blur of appointments, phone calls, and background checks. The FBI agent assigned to us, Special Agent Martinez, had a voice like gravel and a stare that missed nothing. He listened to the recording twice, hands steepled. Then he looked at me. Ma'am, your husband isn't just cheating the HOA. He's tied to an interstate fraud ring. If this pans out, we're talking racketeering charges. Racketeering? The word felt foreign in my mouth. Organized crime, Martinez clarified. And your signature on those documents puts you squarely in the crosshairs. My stomach dropped. So even if I help, I could still... Go down, he finished. Yes, unless we prove you were the bait, not the partner. Delilah leaned in. We've got medical records showing she couldn't have signed the contract. And Sutton's testimony. Martinez raised a hand. Testimony from the mistress is dicey. Defense will paint her as jealous, biased. We need harder evidence. He tapped the recorder. This is strong, but I want more. I want him mentioning Muir again. I want bank names, wire routes, the whole skeleton. My chest tightened. You're asking me to go back? Martinez didn't blink. I'm asking you to finish the job. That night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling. The fan spun lazy circles above me, each rotation louder than my thoughts. Go back, let Michael talk more, put myself in the line of fire again. Part of me wanted to scream. Another part, the colder part, whispered, this is how you burn him down completely. I thought of Sutton's pale face, her children's restless sleep. I thought of 25 years erased like a typo. I whispered into the dark, yes, I'll finish it. 2 days later, Michael called. His tone was oily, triumphant. You see? We're fine now. I told you, Arden, I always handle things. Just stay close and we'll ride this wave. I swallowed my disgust. Maybe you're right. Maybe I panicked too soon. But if we're partners, shouldn't I know more? Shouldn't I meet Muir? There was silence, then a low laugh. Careful, darling. Muir isn't for dinner parties. He doesn't like new faces, but maybe, if you keep being useful. I repeated those words to Delilah and Martinez. Martinez's jaw clenched. If we can get her in the same room with Muir, that's gold. But it's also fire. He's not a small-time player. Delilah squeezed my hand under the table. You don't have to do this. We can stop here. Let them build a slower case. But I shook my head. No, he stole 25 years. I won't settle for slower. I want to watch the whole empire collapse. Martinez studied me. Then he said quietly, "Then Mrs. Rowe, welcome to Undercover." I drove home that night with the words echoing in my skull. Undercover, me. The suburban wife turned bait in a racketeering case. I almost laughed from the absurdity. Almost. But then my phone buzzed. Michael again. "Dinner Friday, just us. I'll bring news. Don't be late." The text glowed like a flare. Friday, dinner, news. I could feel it. The next step wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about setting the trap. Friday night arrived draped in storm clouds. Dallas air was thick, heavy with the promise of rain. I stood in front of the mirror, fastening the clasp of a necklace I hadn't worn in years. Not because I wanted to impress him, no. Because I needed to look like the Arden he remembered. Trusting, pliable, a woman who wouldn't suspect a thing. Delilah's words echoed in my head. "Let him believe you're falling back under his spell. That's when he talks." The restaurant was candlelit, intimate. The kind of place we used to go for anniversaries. Back when anniversaries still meant something. Michael rose when I arrived, pulling out my chair like we were still married in spirit. "Beautiful as ever," he said, sliding the wine list toward me. I managed a smile. "Red, please?" We ordered steaks, potatoes, a bottle of Cabernet that cost more than most people's rent. As the waiter left, Michael leaned back, eyes glittering. "See? This is what I'm talking about. Comfort, security. We had a good thing, Arden. We still can." I kept my voice soft, careful. "Then tell me, why risk it? Why Muir? Why all of this?" He chuckled, shaking his head as if I were a child asking why the sky was blue. "Because small money is boring. HOA dues, rental checks, it's crumbs. Muir taught me scale. Real money. The kind that builds towers and buys silence." I tilted my head. "And buys women?" His smile didn't falter. "Women are cheap. What matters is power. Muir gets it. He sees the long game." The recorder hidden in my purse hummed faintly, picking up every poisoned word. I swirled my wine. "So where do I fit into this long game?" "You're my insurance," he said simply. "The government trusts stability. A wife of 25 years, clean taxes, PTA meetings. Arden, you're better than a bank charter." My stomach clenched. "You built all of this on me." "On us," he corrected smoothly. "That's partnership." Lightning flashed outside, rain rattling against the windows. It felt cinematic, like God himself wanted the truth lit up for the record. Michael leaned closer, lowering his voice. "And soon, Muir wants me in Houston. Big development project, billions on the table. If I pull it off, we're untouchable. You, me, Muir, we could run Texas." I froze. We could run Texas. There it was, exactly what Martinez had wanted. Scale, scope, interstate intent. I forced a swallow. "And Sutton, the kids?" He waved a hand dismissive. "They'll manage. That was never about love, Arden. That was optics. You know that." The food arrived, breaking the moment. The waiter poured wine, retreated. Michael cut into a steak with ease, as though we weren't carving into my life with every word. "You worry too much," he said between bites. "All you have to do is sign papers when I ask. Smile at the bank when needed. The rest? I'll handle." I set down my fork. "And if I don't?" His eyes narrowed, hard. "Then you'll regret it, deeply." My pulse hammered, but I steadied my hand as I raised my glass. "To us," I said. "To survival." He clinked his glass against mine, grinning. "That's my girl." The recorder in my purse caught it all. After dinner, he kissed my cheek in the parking lot. His lips burned like acid. "See you soon, partner," he murmured. I slid into my car, gripping the wheel until my knuckles whitened. Delilah's car idled across the lot. Headlights dimmed. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just whispered to myself, one more step, and he falls. Because the next move wasn't mine. It was the FBI's. The next morning, I met with Agent Martinez in a nondescript federal building on the outskirts of Dallas. The walls were beige, the air stale, but the weight of what we carried was electric. I handed him the recorder. He pressed play. Michael's voice spilled into the room again, smooth as oil. "Muir taught me scale, real money. If I pull this off, we're untouchable. You, me, Muir, we could run Texas." Martinez let it run, then clicked stop. His jaw flexed. "That's it. This is the kind of tape that makes careers. Delilah crossed her arms. And convictions. I leaned forward. So what happens now? Martinez didn't sugarcoat it. We prepare a sting. We want him with Muir, ideally during a transaction or planning meeting. That makes the case ironclad. And me? You keep playing the wife, he said flatly. He trusts you. He'll keep talking. I swallowed hard. Still in the game. Still bait. That evening, Michael called me again. His voice was electric, buzzing with ambition. Arden, good news. Houston's on. Muir wants me there next week. We'll talk contracts over dinner. You'll come with me, my ace in the hole. My hand shook holding the phone. Houston, dinner with Muir. I'll be there, I managed. Good girl, he purred. I hung up and stared at the wall. Dinner with Muir wasn't just another conversation. It was stepping into the lion's den. Delilah sat across from me at the kitchen table. You don't have to go. Yes, I do, I whispered. If I don't, he'll know. And if he knows? I trailed off, imagining Michael's smile twisting into violence. Delilah reached across the table, gripping my hand. Then we'll wire you again. Martinez will have a team nearby. The second it turns dangerous, they move in. Her words steadied me, but not completely. Because I knew, Michael was greedy, but Muir was ruthless. The week blurred until the night came. Michael drove us down to Houston in his black SUV, rain streaking the windshield. He talked the whole way. A monologue of half brags, half promises. I nodded, murmured agreement, all while clutching my purse where another recorder waited, humming silently. We arrived at a high-rise downtown, valet waiting, inside, a private dining room already set. And then he walked in, Jameson Muir, tall silver hair slicked back, eyes sharp as broken glass. He didn't shake hands, he measured me. So this is the wife, he said at last. His voice like gravel and whiskey. Michael grinned. My anchor, my legitimacy. Muir's gaze lingered on me, cold, assessing. She'd better be solid, because if she's not, she's a liability. The dinner began. Fillets, rare, expensive wine, conversations in code. Michael boasted, puffing himself up, explaining how my name made the numbers sing. Muir stayed quiet, listening, sipping. Then finally he spoke. The banks will hold. The transfers are routed. But what about oversight? Regulators are sniffing. Michael waved it off. That's why I've got Arden. Long marriage, PTA, church donations. No one looks twice. Muir's eyes cut into mine. And you're fine with this? The table seemed to shrink. I felt the recorder heavy in my purse. I forced a smile. I trust my husband. Muir smirked. Dangerous words. He leaned back, folding his hands. If she cracks, Michael, everything falls. You'd better keep her close. Michael squeezed my hand under the table, nails digging. Don't worry, she knows better. I smiled on cue, heart hammering, but inside I was screaming. Because I could see it now. This wasn't just fraud. This was organized crime. And I was sitting across from the man who pulled the strings. When dinner ended, Muir rose, buttoning his jacket. Next week we finalize. Bring the papers, bring her. No mistakes. Michael nodded eagerly. Of course. Muir's eyes lingered on me one last time before he left. Don't disappoint me, Mrs. Rowe. As soon as we were alone in the car, Michael laughed. See, he likes you. We're in, Arden. We're untouchable. I stared out the window, rain streaking the glass, hiding the tears in my eyes. Not from fear, from fury. Because now I knew exactly how deep this ran. And I knew one thing for certain. I wasn't just taking Michael down. I was taking Muir with him. The drive back from Houston felt endless. Michael hummed along to the radio, oblivious, riding high on Muir's approval. I sat silent, memorizing every word, every gesture, replaying them in my head for the agents who would soon hear the tape. He thought we were closer than ever, but in reality, every mile we drove brought him closer to his own collapse. The following morning, I met Delilah and Agent Martinez in a dim conference room. The recorder was handed over, its memory card pulled out like evidence in a courtroom drama. Martinez listened, his expression carved from stone. When Muir's voice finally rumbled through the speakers, "Bring her, no mistakes." He clicked stop. "That's it," Martinez said. "That ties him. Now we have organized crime, conspiracy, and intent across state lines." He looked straight at me. "Mrs. Rowe, you just became our linchpin." The weight of it settled on my chest. Me, a housewife turned evidence. Delilah reached over and squeezed my arm. You're doing more than surviving, Arden. You're about to rewrite the ending. I nodded, but inside I still trembled. Because rewriting an ending also meant putting myself directly in the crosshairs. That night, Michael came home buzzing like a live wire. He kissed my cheek, poured himself bourbon, and leaned against the counter. Arden, do you know what this means? Once Houston signs, we'll have money that doesn't just last a lifetime. It builds a dynasty. I swallowed hard. He didn't see the fear in my eyes. He only saw what he wanted. His obedient wife. Dynasty, I echoed softly. The FBI's plan came together quickly. Next week's dinner in Houston would be the sting. They'd wire the room. Agents disguised as staff. Everything recorded, every word preserved. But Martinez was clear. We can't move too soon. We need him on tape with Muir discussing transfers, wire routes, hard evidence of the fraud. One slip and both of them walk. The risk gnawed at me. Michael's temper wasn't theatrical, it was dangerous. And Muir? His eyes had held the kind of cold that didn't flinch at blood. What if something goes wrong? I asked Delilah. She didn't lie. Then they'll pull you out, but it won't be clean, and Michael will know. Her honesty both steadied and terrified me. The night before the sting, I couldn't sleep. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at the empty chair across from me, the place Michael had sat 1,000 times. Laughing, scheming, lying. I whispered into the dark, "You don't own me anymore." My phone buzzed. A text from Michael. "Don't forget tomorrow. Big night. Wear something that makes you look like the perfect wife." I stared at it for a long time. Then I typed back, "Of course, I won't disappoint you." But deep inside, I promised myself something else entirely. Tomorrow, I wouldn't just play the perfect wife. Tomorrow, I'd play the executioner. The night of the sting arrived heavy with tension. Houston glittered with skyscraper lights. But for me, the city was nothing but a stage. A stage where my 25-year marriage would finally collapse under its own lies. Michael was radiant, buzzing with arrogance. He held my hand as we entered the private dining room, his grip too tight, too rehearsed. "Smile," he whispered, teeth bared. "Tonight we make history." I smiled, though not for him. I smiled for the tiny microphone sewn into the lining of my dress. Every word, every breath, every lie, already in federal hands. The room was thick with cigar smoke when Muir arrived. 2 men trailed behind him, silent and broad-shouldered. Bodyguards, unmistakably. "Michael," Muir said, clasping his shoulder. Then his gaze shifted to me. "Mrs. Rowe, still steady?" My throat went dry, but I nodded. "Yes." "Good," he murmured. Because steady is the difference between empire and prison. The dinner began, each course a mask for the conversation weaving underneath. Fillets again, wine richer than blood. But this time, Michael wasn't coy. He spread documents across the table, his voice slick with pride. Funds routed through Greybird, layered through Amber Ridge, transfers disguised as repair costs, all funneled offshore. And the beauty of it? He tapped the papers, all signed with Arden's credibility. The banks don't blink. Muir chuckled, low and dangerous. A suburban wife is a shield more powerful than a lawyer. Michael laughed with him, and my stomach twisted. But I kept my face serene, my heart screaming silent. The recorder captured it all: intent, action, conspiracy, exactly what Martinez needed. But then Muir's gaze locked on me. "And you, Mrs. Rowe, do you truly understand what you're part of? Or are you just along for your husband's shadow?" The room froze. Michael watched me, waiting for my cue. My mind screamed careful. I forced my lips into a calm curve. "I understand enough," I said. "And I trust Michael to handle the rest." Muir studied me for a long, sharp second. Then he smirked, raising his glass. "To loyalty." We clinked glasses, but inside, my chest throbbed with fury. Loyalty? No, this wasn't loyalty. This was the final act before betrayal became justice. After dinner, we walked toward the parking garage. Michael was practically glowing, papers tucked under his arm. "We're in Arden. Muir respects us now. We're unstoppable." He didn't notice the SUVs idling in the shadows. He didn't see the federal agents blending into the garage attendants. But I did, and my heart hammered, not with fear, but with anticipation. Because the trap was about to snap shut. "Michael Rowe!" The shout echoed like a gunshot. Red and blue lights blazed. Agents swarmed, guns drawn. Michael froze, papers fluttering to the ground. "What the?" Muir's bodyguards reached for weapons, but they were already on the floor, tackled, cuffed. Michael turned to me, eyes wide, betrayal dawning. "Arden, what did you—" Agents slammed him against the hood of his own SUV. Miranda rights spilled into the night air. I stood back, trembling, tears burning hot. Not tears of grief, of release. 25 years of lies ended under flashing lights. And as Michael shouted my name, spitting rage, I whispered back so only I could hear it. "I survived you." The garage reeked of exhaust and rain as Michael's shouts echoed into the night. Muir was cuffed, stone-faced, already shielded by federal agents hustling him into a black SUV. His empire, built on lies, greed, and shadows, was reduced to scattered papers wet with oil on the concrete. Michael's eyes burned into mine as they shoved him toward a cruiser. "Arden," he howled, "you think you've won? You're nothing without me." I didn't flinch. I only watched, silent, while the door slammed shut and swallowed his voice. Back at the safe house, Delilah and Martinez debriefed me. The recordings were airtight. Conspiracy, wire fraud, racketeering, the works. "Mrs. Rowe," Martinez said, "you just handed us a career case. Both men will face indictments across multiple states. You'll testify, and when you do, their defenses will crumble." I should have felt triumphant. Instead, all I felt was hollow. 25 years of marriage, and this was what remained. Evidence bags, transcripts, and the echo of his voice calling me nothing. Delilah caught my gaze. "You did it, Arden. Don't let him take the victory from you." I tried to smile, but my hands still shook. "Why doesn't it feel like victory?" "Because victory doesn't erase the scars," she said softly. Weeks turned into months. The trial dominated headlines. Dallas developer charged in racketeering scheme. Photos of Michael in an orange jumpsuit splashed across news feeds. Muir's face, cold and composed, became a symbol of greed finally caught. I testified. I told the truth under oath, every word cutting like glass. Michael glared at me the entire time, his eyes promising revenge he would never deliver. Because bars don't bend for men like him. Afterward, the world didn't magically heal. I still woke in the night, heart pounding. I still reached for the empty side of the bed out of habit. But slowly, I built something new. I sold the house in Dallas. I moved to Austin, where no one knew me as Michael Rowe's wife. I opened a small bakery with the money I legally reclaimed. Cinnamon rolls, peach pies, things that smelled like home instead of betrayal. Customers came, laughed, stayed. They didn't see a victim. They saw a woman making her own life. One morning, Sutton visited with her children. The kids pressed their noses to the bakery glass, eyes wide at trays of sugar cookies. Sutton hugged me, long and trembling. "You saved me," she whispered. "You saved us." For the first time, I believed her. For the first time, I believed myself. On the 1-year anniversary of Michael's arrest, I stood outside my shop at dawn. The air was cool, scented with yeast and coffee. I whispered into the quiet street, "You didn't break me." And I meant it, because revenge wasn't about watching Michael rot. It was about reclaiming myself. And in the ashes of his empire, I had finally risen.